I still remember the way she said it, calm, almost rehearsed, like she'd gone over it 100 times in her head before letting the words slip out. He just understands me better. That was it. No anger, no drama, just a quiet conclusion, like she'd been building toward it for months. And me? I just sat there, listening. I didn't ask her to explain, didn't argue, didn't tell her how many times I'd stayed up at night trying to understand her when even she didn't understand herself. I just got up, took a slow breath, and said, "If that's how you feel, then I won't stand in your way." And I left. Not because I didn't love her. I did. More than anything. But when someone you've built a life with looks you in the eye and tells you someone else gets them better, what's left to fight for? We were together for almost 5 years. We had routines, inside jokes, a rhythm that felt like home. She was chaotic, creative, spontaneous. I was grounded, quiet, the one who made sure the bills got paid, who always remembered to refill the gas tank. We balanced each other a bit, or at least I thought we did. It started changing when she joined that new photography group downtown. Suddenly, there was this guy, Noah. He was just someone who got her work, she said. Just someone who spoke the same language creatively. I didn't think much of it at first. I wanted to be supportive. She had dreams. I was proud of her. But then she stopped laughing at my jokes, stopped sharing her rough days with me, stopped reaching for my hand during drives. I asked her once, carefully, if something was wrong. She smiled, a tired, hollow smile, and said, "You've always been good to me, but with him, it just feels easy, natural, like he sees me." And that was the beginning of the end. A week later, we sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the same table where we once talked about names for our future kids. She looked me in the eye and said the words that still echo sometimes when I close mine, "He understands me better." I didn't cry, not then. I packed a bag, left my key on the counter, and I walked away. The first few weeks were a blur. I stayed in a friend's guest room, worked late shifts, ignored everyone's messages. I was ashamed. Not just that she left, but that I had stayed so long trying to be enough for someone who was already slipping away. Month 2, I got my own place. Small, quiet, a couch, a bed, and walls that didn't remind me of her. I started running in the mornings, not for fitness, just to feel something burn other than my chest. I learned to cook for one, taught myself how to enjoy silence again. Month 4, I saw her on social media, smiling, in a cafe, her hand resting on a coffee cup, his camera on the table next to hers. I stared at that photo longer than I should have. Then I deleted the app and went outside to breathe. Healing wasn't clean. Some nights I'd hear her laugh in my memory and feel like I was choking. Some mornings I'd wake up reaching for her side of the bed, but I didn't call, didn't text, didn't beg. Because I knew. If someone leaves because someone else understands them better, then they were never listening to you in the first place. By month 7, I was different. Quieter, stronger, not completely healed, but no longer bleeding. I smiled without guilt. I went on a few dates, nothing serious, but I didn't talk about her anymore, and that felt like progress. Then, month 10, it was raining. I'd just gotten home, kicked off my shoes, when I heard a knock on the door. I opened it, and there she was, hair damp, eyes red, hands shaking slightly as she clutched a soaked paper envelope. I didn't speak, just stepped aside. She walked in like she'd never been there before, like the air itself carried regret. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said, voice cracking. "I just need to say this." She handed me the envelope. I didn't open it. "I was wrong," she continued. "I thought what we had was safe, predictable. And when Noah came along, everything felt exciting again, like I was waking up after a long sleep." She paused, eyes welling again. "But it wasn't real. The way he understood me, it only worked when things were light, fun. The second things got heavy, he checked out, disappeared." She looked down. "I ran from you because you knew the parts of me I didn't want to face, the parts I was afraid of, but you never judged me for them. You stayed. You listened. You tried." Silence. I came back because I realized what I lost. I sat down, finally looked at her. She looked like someone who had learned something too late, and I knew that version of me. The one who would have dropped everything to take her back didn't live here anymore. I leaned back. "I'm glad you figured that out," I said calmly. "But I've come too far to go backward." She nodded, tears falling freely now. "I get it. I just needed to say it out loud." I walked her to the door, and just before she left, I said, "You were right. He understood a version of you. I loved all of you, even the messy parts." She turned, mouth open, but I gently closed the door. Then I sat down next to the window, watching the rain run down the glass, and for the first time in almost a year, I felt peace. If you've ever been replaced by someone who didn't know a fraction of what you gave, this is your reminder. Sometimes they only realize what they lost after you've already healed, and by then, you'll know. You didn't lose them. They lost you.